So this is where the shelf is going to go. We have a small alcove, 30 centimeters deep and 160 wide. So it's going to be quite a long shelf. So I've got the measurements I need here, and everything in the house was oak. So I've got some oak veneered plywood to fit the decor. Now the problem with alcove shelves is that you think they're this size, and that's fine. You make the piece this size, but then you go to install it and you find out the wall is actually this shape. And that means when you put in a rectangular panel, there are gaps. And I have done my best to measure perfectly, and I think I got the right kind of measurements. So making the shelf is going to be easy, but we'll see how it is when I actually go to install it. I mightn't have a track saw, but I have a saw and I made a track for it. It also seems that my splinter guard works really well. Now that I've cut it to length, I just need to rip it to width on the table saw. Now currently this looks a bit minging, so let's change that. So this is the piece of oak I'm going to use, and right at the end there does a bit of a squiggle, but if I'm lucky that's just out of the length I need. Now it looks a bit dirty and rough, so I'm going to sand it, and depending on how it turns out I might need to plane it. It would appear it needs planed, which means I need to take that up there and get rid of all of that. Yay. I just nearly don't have enough room to do this, but I do. There's a few nicks in the planer blade, and I can just remove it with a block plane. Now I previously showed you that the wood is bent, but it wasn't actually until now that I realised how bad it is. So if I put it right up against a straight bit, you just see a big gap and then it comes back. So it's essentially a C shape, and I think I might possibly have a way to fix it. Now what I've done is I've put my board against my fence so I can extend my fence to make it super long, and I know that's straight. Now what I can do is take my curved piece, and it's curved in its C shape this way so that the outward curve is cutting through the blade, and as I drive it along it will mostly keep this straight, so I will get one straight edge and then I can flip it over and then I should just be able to cut another. Plan A straight up, no go, didn't work, absolute rubbish. I've got a good plan B, but to make it even better, I can now lob off a meter and that'll make it way easier. Plan B. Now I've got a far straighter edge to cut my actual edge from. So I've completed all the touch-ups, and it is a lovely square, pretty straight piece, and it is lovely and smooth. It's cut to length, everything ready to go. Initially I was going to affix the shelf and the front border coating covering bit with some dowels, and there's two problems with that. First is I only have pine dowels. I ran out of oak dowels, and pine and oak look absolute trash together, so that's a no-go. But even worse than that, this is an 8mm dowel, and I don't want to use anything smaller because it won't be strong enough, but the plywood is 12mm, and that gives no room for drilling. So I thought, ooh, what about brass? Everybody does brass these days, but the only brass I have are these brass upholstery pins. So I'm cringing here because I'm scared. I'm going to have to resort to the pin nailer. Now the heads of these pins are absolutely tiny, so it really couldn't be that bad, could it? So I've fully glued up the shelf, and it's only taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pins along the whole length just to keep it from twisting and moving with the glue, and then I've just clamped it. Now I can leave it overnight to dry. So the shelf has been put in, and I just fixed it in place with 4 buttons underneath, which at eye height are not visible, and I have the oak because it fits with the rest of the furniture, looking lovely, and the customer enjoys it greatly.
Customer approved.